You
going.
didn't you didn't click the
I
button.
clicked it. It just says right there, you are live.
Oh boy.
Ha 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 ha.
So we got our time zones mixed up today.
Oh, Miami time. Just kidding.
We're actually 5 minutes early.
I like it. I like that
Uh,
thought process.
yeah, that's what I'm gonna go with.
Guys, I'm going to advise one thing to anyone out there. If you have to travel for work ever, do not, good morning, do not go forward in a time zone. Like, obviously, from St. Louis to Miami, I lost an hour. Also, the week of a time change. So, between Saturday and Sunday, we sprung forward and lost an hour. And then my flight Monday morning was departed at 5 a.m. So, I got to the airport at like 3 in the morning and then lost another hour when I got to Miami. So, it was like wham bam. And I don't think I fully recovered. There were also there's packed flights. Like flights to Miami are always jam packed, and this is no exception. And both times, obviously, Jason and I don't have children. We have nieces and nephews and littles, so we get the life. Like we understand there's only so much you can control, especially traveling with littles. It's so hard. But both times I had littles behind me on the plane that were coughing the whole time, and I definitely brought something back home. So we're
Ew.
playing like warping in time zones, trying to get back to normal life, and whatever little bug you pick up on a plane. So
You
here we
gotta
are.
take your vitamins.
Oh, would you shut up, guys? You don't even know the conversations we've been having about that. But you're not here to hear us yak about time zones and vitamins. You're here because you're smart enough as a business owner to know that when Google has a core update, it's probably pretty important for you to at least have a grasp on what's going on, how it can potentially impact your business, so that you can make better decisions, right? And why is it so important to know this as it's coming, right? Eventually, everyone's going to be talking about it. Eventually, all this is going to be common knowledge. But, guys, the faster you can get ahead of these things and put it into practice, the more favor you're going to have in the eyes of Google, right? If you're taking initiative and making these changes and adapting and playing with Google the way that they want to be played with now versus your competitor that's not going to be doing this until 6 months or a year from now, you've built that much more favor and rapport and trust in the eyes of Google. So,
You play with
take
Google?
the play with Google. We like to say we manipulate Google, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
Um, you're gonna say you don't say
Sometimes they're fun to play with.
that. So Jason's gonna go over just some high level updates as far as what is going on with the Google Core update, what you guys can expect, how it can impact you, and maybe some key takeaways, things that you can put into practice or be aware of so you can make the best decisions when it comes to your online presence and digital marketing. So this rolled out what, like middle of last week?
Rolled out 1 week ago today, March 15th. Um, they say it takes 2 weeks to roll out. I don't know if that's actually true or not. Sometimes it seems like it takes longer or
Mm-hmm.
shorter. It just really depends because it's all a ripple effect, right?
Right.
I mean, the updates that they're doing are affecting, you know, these factors and these sites. And then because these factors and these sites were affected, then those are going to affect this and then that. And
Mm-hmm.
then, it just keeps going on and on.
Right.
So it slowly rolls out. But as soon as they announced it, I went and checked like a lot of the sites that we monitor their rankings for and stuff like that, and everything's going up and down and crazy, and that's just how it goes when these updates come out, and it's kind of annoying, but it is what it is. We're playing
It
in there.
stabilizes when it's done. Like
Well, yeah,
obviously as all the things are changing and Google's recrawling and all these new algorithms are going into place and different things are rolling out, everything is going to look like chaos right now. And if you don't know that, it's very easy to freak out and go, what the flip is going on with my site, my rankings, my SEO partner's doing something wrong.
right.
Just know that's just kind of part of it. Everything is shifting and that's going to happen. So if you are monitoring your own rankings or you get reports from an SEO agency and things are just ping ponging all over the place right now, don't freak out. That is perfectly normal when these updates take place.
Right. Yeah, because we always experience what we call as the Google dance because your rankings don't just always go up or go down. They're going up and down constantly. Like every keyword is just moving all the time. when these updates happen, this is a little bit crazier than a Google dance. It's more like the Google mosh pit, I guess you could say. Because things just get crazy. And sites go really far up or really far down, and then they eventually stabilize, like Danny said.
Oh my God, a mosh pit. That's a great analogy.
Google mosh pit. But yeah, if you see fluctuations happening, like I put out that post, I guess it was a week ago when the update happened. Don't be alarmed. Don't make any crazy changes to your website to try and address the rankings, the drop in rankings. If you have a drop, don't try to get in front of it, so to speak. Like, just let it settle down, let it happen. And then once the dust settles, then we'll kind of figure out exactly what's going on and what you need to do to move back up if you fell down. Okay.
Right.
Because not everybody's site is going to do that. Usually with these core updates, a lot of it just focuses in on, like, your quality content, having unique content, not duplicated content, or even like a whole bunch of AI content. The overall user experience. Are people actually getting what they're searching for on your website? And then what I'm seeing a lot, even with the last core update, are more things leaning towards EAT signals. So, how well your content is attributed to, like, an actual author, someone that has, expertise and experience in your field, which is something that, we've been talking about for a long, long time.
And guys, even at this conference this past week, the most brilliant minds when it comes to digital marketing, multi-million dollar agencies, everyone is talking about EAT. This isn't something that we just found an article on and we're spitting it out to you, or that we've believed in it for a year or so. Like, EAT has always been a thing. The additional E added to EAT has been within the past year or so. But this isn't make believe. This isn't something digital marketers come up with. This is from Google. And if the most brilliant minds in digital marketing are talking about ways that we can make sites to comply within EAT or to fulfill what Google is looking for as far as EAT, it's important, it's relevant to you guys. One of the biggest things when you're looking at these core updates or any algorithm changes, Jason and I preach all the time in this group that we want to take a diversified approach when it comes to our clients. Wow, you just made my face huge. Don't do that again. We take a very diversified approach to our SEO strategy for our clients. So we don't just go all in on just backlinks or just content or just social or just whatever it is. We try and do a little bit of each with consciousness to which one does Google weigh heavier, if that makes sense. So while we recognize all of the things are important, some things, depending on Google shifts, changes, updates, are more important than others. And when you have that diversified approach, you have a little bit more of a solid foundation. So when these updates come, yes, maybe you'll see a little bit once it settles out, but you've got a little bit of everything in place, and then you just true up whatever it is Google shifted the focus and priority to, versus having to like scrap everything. So say you were only going in 100% on blog posts for the last 3 years. Well, now with the helpful content update and all this AI content and everything coming out, for lack of better terms, you're kind of screwed, because honestly, that's hurting your rankings now. We're scrapping so much of those blog posts. Whereas if you have a diversified approach, then you don't have to worry so much about getting massively smacked by these Google core updates and these changes. So keep that in mind as we're going through this. Like Jason said, don't be ruffled if you're seeing things go crazy right now. If you've done your due diligence with your SEO approach and you do a little bit of everything, this will stabilize, and then you'll be able to clearly see what's that one component that maybe I'm lacking or I need to shift some priority on once these things stabilize out. And EAT is always going to be a big part of that.
Yep, that's exactly right. And with your EAT, I mean, best thing you can do really is fill out your author stuff on Carrot. A lot of people do not do that. So fill out your actual author stuff and put in your links back to, like, your LinkedIn profile, to your Facebook profile, a link tree if you have it. I mean, we've talked about a lot of these things on lives. You can go back and watch them. But you really want to put yourself out there or put someone else out there that's on your team, have an actual persona that, you know, this content is being attributed to instead of
Mhm.
just someone random. Um, it's super important. It's only going to become more important. With the update, I did want to share one of Google's links because usually when Google tries to explain something, they suck at it. And they talk at such like a high level that you can't even understand it. And it just doesn't make sense. But they actually have this was a great explanation on how the core updates work. And I actually want to read it here because it made perfect sense when I looked at it. Now, I have dropped the link in the comments, but I'm going to put it here on the screen as well. Where did it go? Okay. So, how core updates work. So basically, it's saying there's nothing wrong with pages that may not be performing as well as they were before a core update. They haven't violated your spam policies nor been subjected to a manual or algo action. Um, in fact, there's nothing in the core update that targets specific pages or sites. Instead, the changes are about improving how our systems assess content overall. These changes may cause some pages that were previously under rewarded to do better in search results. Now, here is the part I was talking about. One way to think of how a core update operates is to imagine you made a list of the top 100 movies in 2021. A few years later in 2024, you refresh the list. It's going to naturally change. Some new and wonderful movies that never existed before will now be candidates for inclusion. You might also reassess some of the films and realize they deserved a higher place on the list than they had before. The list
Mhm.
will change, and films previously higher on the list that moved down aren't bad. There are simply more deserving films that are coming before them.
Yep.
Okay, so the same thing with sites. Like there's brand new sites coming in all the time, right? Um, you know, and new sites might have different signals that are pointing to it, different EAT signals, different kind of backlinks, and Google wants to reassess things. And you know, these guys need to be ranking higher than someone that maybe they were ranking, but they haven't done anything in the past couple years or since the last core update, right?
Mhm.
And they've slowly fallen down. That's why you always have to be kind of on top of this stuff, you know, because if you stop doing your SEO and you stop producing content and you stop producing EAT signals, well, the guys below you in the rankings, they haven't stopped, right? They're always
Mhm.
trying to move up. They're trying to crawl on up the rankings. So you always have to be on top of this stuff.
That
Uh,
is the biggest misconception when it comes to SEO, and for the longest time, probably the biggest question that we got, "Can't I just pay you a one-time fee to get this set up for me?" And it doesn't work that way. I've heard of so many people use a racetrack, race cars in a racetrack as an analogy for SEO, in that, you know, as soon as you start doing SEO, as soon as your website's up and you're building out your online presence and you're doing SEO and you're building that content, it's like a car that's going around a racetrack. And someone that started doing SEO 5 years before you and has been working and building out their online presence and their website and their backlinks and all this stuff, they may be 500 laps in. And so they have all this trust and authority and credibility built online. And then now today you're getting started and you're starting to go. You can do so much, but sometimes it takes more effort if you're trying to make up those 500 laps to catch up to your competitor. It
mhm.
takes time and it takes continued work. And I think some people don't understand always like the work that goes on behind the scenes with SEO. It's not just making sure that your website is tidied up and in compliance with what Google wants. Like you're doing things, you're pouring fuel on the fire, for lack of better terms, to build out your online presence as quickly as possible. Or that's what we do as an agency to try to catch you up to those competitors that are already 500 laps ahead of you. So we're trying to put you in a car that goes twice as fast as your competitor's car to make up those laps to catch up in the rankings to then outrank them. But it is a never ending battle. If you take the foot off the gas, your competitor is still going. They're picking up laps, they're gaining more space and distance ahead of you because they haven't stopped. It is a never ending um, thing that you're working for, there's no finish line, right? Just because you reach the first position on the first page of Google doesn't mean you're going to stay there, because someone else is coming up behind you wanting to lap you as well. Guys, it doesn't stop. SEO
Right.
is not a one-time thing and you're done. You're always working at it, because Google is a live, living, breathing thing. It's always reading, it's always working, it's always trying to improve the consumer experience. They want users to get benefit from their platform. And so because of that, they're always looking, they're always scanning, and that's what makes it so competitive.
Yeah, and that's why we say like every market and every SERP is different.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter necessarily if it's a giant market like Miami or something like that versus a small market, because like, I mean, obviously you're going to have more competitors in the larger market, right?
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes those smaller markets can be super tough too, because they just have people that have been sitting there at the top of the search engine results for 5, 6, 7 years, and
Mm-hmm.
you have a brand new website. Why is Google going to put a brand new website above a site or sites that have been there for 5, 6, 7 years, right? They're not just going to do it because you have a few more backlinks or something like that. You have to build trust and authority over time. And it takes time for Google to crawl all that, assess it, and really understand that, okay, these guys are for real. They're not going anywhere. We maybe should give them a little bit higher rankings, right?
Yep.
So it just takes time sometimes. So
Yep. So I want to know your opinion. What is up with AI and the Chat GPT competitor and everything that you're seeing going on there? I think it's kind of a big can of worms. We'll probably dig into it more on another live, but can you give kind of like a high level update of what you're seeing there? What's rolling out? What's the skinny? What are the bullet points they need to know right now?
you asking me?
I'm talking to you.
All right. Well, in the AI world, there's a lot going on right now. Everybody probably sees it in their Facebook feed, or at least I do. It's all over my Twitter feed too, and it's
Because
just,
you're a nerd.
yeah, it's kind of getting annoying to be honest, but it is what it is, right? It's fun to play with, that's for sure.
Hmm.
So Google Bard, BARD, what a great name they came up with. That was, I don't know if it was technically fully released yesterday, but I got an email about it wanting, saying I could try it out or something. I don't know. I didn't play with it yet. But Google Bard is the Chat GPT competitor, which everybody should have heard of Chat GPT by now. Google Bard is supposedly better, and has far more parameters. It's built on a totally different language model called LaMDA, as Danny likes to call it something completely different.
Lambada, I think is what I
Lambada. But it's built on, LaMDA. I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but Chat GPT, and then you have LaMDA, right? And supposedly Google is far more ahead of this, but Chat GPT kind of beat them to the punch, so to speak. So that's why you're seeing more about Chat GPT. Chat GPT 4 just released, I don't know, what was it, a week ago? So they upgraded. They were on 3 and then 3.5. Now they're on 4. 4 is like mind-blowing bigger than 3.5. Like, it can do far more crazy things. It can understand things at a much deeper level and write better articles, write better everything. And if you guys haven't played with it yet, you definitely should. It is a lot of fun to see what you can get it to do. It can write code for you. It can write like HTML websites. Like, there's a lot of crazy stuff it can do. People are building apps with it, like basically telling it what they want to do, what they want their app to do, and it'll start writing out the code to build like apps. Like,
That's
pretty crazy.
wild.
But just the amount of stuff they can do is nuts, and there's a lot of different ways that you can use it. For anybody listening, though, of course, we do not recommend just pumping out AI articles and posting them on your website. Please do
Right.
not do that. Don't
So this
say
is
I
something This is something that was talked about a lot at the
Hmm.
conference as well. Um, and I just want to make sure we're crystal clear on this. We are not saying that AI generated content is bad forever. We're saying that right now it is unknown how Google is either going to promote and or penalize, heavy emphasis on penalize, the overuse of AI generated content because they are looking for things that have personal authorship, because they're looking for things that um, are maybe unique and have a personal voice to it. We don't want you guys to go all in on creating hundreds of blog posts or hundreds of pages on your website with AI generated content when we don't know yet how Google is going to respond to it. One of the really interesting opinions that I heard a lot of is that as long as the content is helpful, at some point the algorithm will kind of even out and they won't necessarily just penalize AI content because it's AI content. They'll assess more of what the content is. But that's unknown at this point, guys. Again, Google is always going to look for what the user experience is and how helpful the content is. But until we know what or how Google is scanning for this, how they're going to weigh it, and how they may or may not penalize it, just be cautious with how you're utilizing it. It is a great way to start writing. If you suck, like I suck at writing, like at least getting juices flowing, or picking a topic or knowing like a perspective to bring to it. This is a great tool to utilize for that, specifically for writing. Have it generate something for you, tweak it, make it your own, add your own little personal opinions, put your authorship on it, and utilize it that way. But just for the time being, just don't go super, super crazy until more information is available, more concrete information is available. At least that's what I'm hearing from everyone. That's the approach that we're taking. That's what we're recommending to you guys.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, if you're wanting like full articles, um, you can have it create those for you, but you just need to rewrite it, add your own stuff. There's
Hmm.
lots of tools that can rewrite it and make it not AI detected. Because if you
Hmm.
run a chat GBT article through like originality.ai, which detects how much AI is part of it, it's going to say it's 100% AI. But then if you run that article through like quillbot.com, it's going to change things and add things, and
Hmm.
then it won't be AI detected. Okay. However, forget about even writing like articles. You can use the AI stuff to write, to give you like an outline of an article of how you can write better. You can give you like a YouTube video script, right? Or if you send out emails to all of your leads, stuff like that, you can have it write your emails. Because remember, an email sent to someone isn't SEO related. Google's not reading that. They don't
Yeah.
care. So if you want to pump out a whole bunch of um, emails,
Yeah.
you can have it write them all for you, right? Or you can do your social post. You can literally go to ChatGPT and say, give me 5 Facebook posts about, and then describe like your business and what you do, who's your customer, that type of thing. Give me 5, 10 Facebook posts, blah, 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 blah. And it'll pop it out for you, right? That's not
Crazy.
SEO related either. It doesn't matter. You can just copy and paste those,
Yep.
right? So there's a lot more stuff that you can do besides just, posting an article on your website. So yeah, it's fun. You should play with it, but use it in a smart way,
Hmm.
right? So that's all I have with the AI stuff.
So really quick, why don't we do a quick recap on what EAT is, in case anyone hasn't caught a live of us talking about what EAT is. EAT is an acronym. It
Yep,
was EAT. They added an extra E, so now it's EAT.
yep. Stands for experience, expertise. I always forget the second one.
Mm-hmm.
Experience, expertise, authoritativeness. Is that how you say that?
Authority.
And trustworthiness. Okay,
So when you're
experience,
looking,
expertise, authoritativeness, trustworthiness.
yes, that is what Google is looking for when it comes to your online presence. So your website, your quality of content, is the content on your website helpful or is it spammy? Are your blog posts helpful? is your GBP filled out completely? Do you have FAQs on there? Do you have pictures? Do you have posts? Do you have things that are helping build those EAT signals? Is your authorship built out online? Are you featured in blog posts? Are you featured in press releases? Are you featured on other social platforms? Are all of those connected correctly? Is your NAP consistent across all of these different platforms? Is Google able to see your online presence and connect all of that together to recognize who you are? That's what we're talking about. And that has been and is even more so Google's priority with this core update. The helpful content update, I mean, that really was a game changer, guys. It happened last year, and they haven't taken their foot off the gas. We'll keep going with the car analogies. They haven't taken their foot off the gas as far as saying this is a priority, and we're seeing all of the ranking shift because of that. And one of the biggest things, if you guys are still new here, that we've seen is like all the old blog posts. We had so many websites of clients who all of a sudden, once the Google Helpful Content update hit, their websites got smacked, their rankings plummeted. And then finally, everyone was able to figure out, well, it's because of all these overfluffed, over spammy blog posts that 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago helped with the rankings. And now all of a sudden, Google's saying this is garbage, which a lot of it kind of was, but it had a strategy behind it. And so we had to purge some of that out. So anyway, I'm rambling at that point. But guys, the priority is just understand what EAT is and keep it in mind when you're doing any type of work for your online presence. If you're working with an agency, if you have someone in-house, if you're doing it yourself, just ask yourself, does this align with EAT? Is this something that is helpful? Is this something that is relevant before you make a decision to do something to your site or to your online presence? Anything else you've got?
That's probably what I got.
All right. We are working on getting a couple new guests lined up for you guys. There are a few people that we've been in the talks about that have some really great products and services or experiences that we want to bring in to give you guys an inside look. I don't want to talk too much about it because nothing's locked in yet, but you guys had such a great time with Jeremy and with Jason Blackburn and with Paul Stern, and they brought so much value to you. We want to keep that rolling. We don't want to be the only voices that you guys hear. It's important that you know everything that is out there as far as digital and how you can utilize it to move your business forward. So stay tuned. We'll probably release some information on who's going to be coming on board with us within the next week or so and get some really great speakers in here for you guys. So I think I'm ready for my next dose of Sudafed. I feel like I'm crashing a little bit.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. All right, guys. I hope you have a great rest of your Wednesday. We will see you next week. As always, if you have any questions, if this doesn't make sense, if you're wondering how it applies specifically to your site or you need us to take a look at it, drop a comment and let's be real. Jason will help you out.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right. See you guys.